Welcome to the EVready Podcast, featuring industry leaders and their perspectives on electrification, hosted by EVready Energy. Awesome. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the EVready Podcast. I have with me today a really good friend, Charlie dePuthod, the CEO of INF Associates. Charlie, thank you so much for taking the time.
For me too, Chris. It's always good to see you, and really happy to support the podcast and be on this with you today.
Awesome. Thanks, man. You know, I've always been so enamored by you, and I hope others are as we have this discussion. Back when I was in college, I used to listen to this podcast called Entrepreneur on Fire, and it would highlight somebody who had businesses and the trials and the tribulations and all those things. And as a younger person getting into the industry, you were always, I guess, like a beacon of hope for me for at some point in time trying to figure out how to do this myself. I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about your journey, your career, because from my perspective, I think that's you're doing so many things that are impressive, but the most impressive thing is the career that you've had and how you've kind of grown over time through it. So that's kind of where I want to start. Tell me a little bit about when you knew that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, and looking back, what were some of the craziest things that you did in your career that helped you realize that you were you and that you could do this?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Chris. I'm just so proud of you, man. I wanted to just start by saying that, what you built over there at EVready and the momentum that you guys are carrying and, the quality of your company. I'm just really impressed. And the background also of your podcast with the Celtics and everything else, I've had a lot of good conversations and discussions with you. Yeah. So I think I started my career back, I was 14 years old. I worked at a farm market, and that's where I started my career. And I worked at, a lot of different smaller jobs, like working at a Gap warehouse and Friendly's, but I always put my all in. And, that was one thing that really stood out for me to be an entrepreneur. It was really just hey, maximize the potential that you have and, do your best every day. And I think that's what put me in the place that I am in today. And, I just really worked hard and always worked hard at any job I was ever at. And then when I got started with INF, I met a lot of really good people. I had some really good mentors in my life. Greg Scollin from Thermotest, Vinny Petta, one of my clients that ended up coming to work for me. And, my father, Gary Crispo, even worked with me too. So just working around good people. I have a really good network, really, really good, strong people around me. And, I think it was just a lot of hard work. I had a lot of luck in life too, and just met a lot of good people. So that's really what got me started in my career.
Can you tell me, you told me a story once about when you went to Asia because you saw a business opportunity as a younger person, but just tell me a couple stories that to you feel like probably just normal courses of action that probably to others feel like something that is just completely out of the realm of comprehension of a decision to make really quickly.
Yeah. I was 30 years old when I started INF, and one of the first jobs that I quoted, I actually lost, and I got some feedback from my customer. He said, "You were high in your material costs." So what I did is I said, I can't keep this business going if I'm going to be high on material, and I didn't have good buying power with any distributors or anything. So I took off to Hong Kong. I literally got on a plane a month later, and this guy, Bob Wong, was the guy who brought in all the Beanie Babies. He was the broker. There's a lot of brokers in China, so they can go to the factories and check on your material and, all that. So I literally got on a plane and went down to Hong Kong and got off the plane, met this guy, Bob Wong, and went toward the factory and chose a manufacturer to start producing my own product. So I got UL certified with lighting material, and I got DLC listed and had to go through all that course. And I was bringing containers of product in, and I was selling to Grainger, and I was selling to Gray Bar and the big distributors out there. We were very cost disruptive, but it was a really remarkable point in my career to go and do that because we were cost effective, and it really set a good path to, go and install the hundreds of thousands of LED lighting products that we installed for our customers.
Just out of curiosity, what was the tone of what were the tone of the folks that you met with when you went to China? Was there a language barrier that made things difficult? Did you find out new things about the marketplace that you could bring back here? Did they look at you as a beacon to bring their product to the United States? Like, what were the dynamics?
Yeah, it was interesting. Totally different culture, and it was a good experience for me. You hand your business card off with two hands like this, and it was, very. I think one of the biggest concerns for me is, you pay for your material up front in China, so it's not like a distributor where you have like 30 or 60-day terms. So literally had to like go and ship, $500,000, ACH payment over to China, not ever dealing with this person before. So, it's a lot of trust, and that's what they build their business around. And, we had really a lot of success there. One of the manufacturers that I chose to partner with, where we white label the product, was this guy, James Industry, and he was really focused in the States. So he had a lot of product here in the States and just really understood the market. So it made it a little easier. And, he was a marketing genius too. His business card said James Bond. So, his name was definitely not James Bond, but he made it James Bond to help with everybody in America knew who James Bond was. So he had a really big focus, and it was a good marketing move by him.
It's a good way to go about it. Yeah, I love that. That's probably the best part of the story.
Absolutely.
And just talk a little bit about like some of the other entrepreneur. We're going to get into INF, but how have you sort of evolved as an entrepreneur over the last, let's call it, 15, 20 years? How have you kind of dipped your toes into different things, given with the flexibility of being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think, I get an idea in my head. I think some of my biggest qualities is just I have good vision, and I work hard, and I have a great network, and I'm just really just fair with everybody. I treat the janitor like the CEO, and I give everybody the same respect. And, when I get into something that I enjoy or that I believe in, I put my all into it. And, a lot of that is what I do with my businesses. So outside of INF Associates, I own Evoke. I'm a co-founder in this company, Evoke Systems, which is a SaaS software play. And then I also am a partner with Digital Thread, which is doing like a lot of different kind of software for going through buildings and doing rounds and readings and such like that. So that's another business that I do.
Can you talk a little bit about, just because this is a charging podcast, can you talk a little bit about Evoke? What is Evoke? Why did you want to start it? What are your goals with that?
Evoke Systems is a software SaaS. It goes on any OCPP hardware. We have about 4,000 ports connected. It's really consumer facing, so it can do all the pricing. It can do all the transactions. Really good with load management. We have a superior team over there, and we just really one of the smaller but bigger players in the market right now, and we're looking to really grow and scale that business.
Your best quality as an entrepreneur is you're not afraid of competition. You don't look at folks as competition. You look at everybody as partners. And I think over time, that's why you have so many great relationships, is because that's how you approach business. And there's something disarming to everybody else around how you approach everybody, despite the fact that there might be certain overlaps with your business with other people. And I think that's like the best quality that an entrepreneur could possibly have. It's my favorite quality of yours. I don't know if I've ever told you that or not, but given that, this is so ingrained as to who you are, can you help it, like, folks understand what are the qualities and the characteristics of entrepreneurs in general that people should try to identify within themselves, similar to, that feedback that you gave to me so many years ago, that might help somebody, I guess, jump over the edge and maybe try and take on a dream that they haven't in the past because it maybe wasn't their safest option.
Yeah, no problem at all. And I appreciate that. I think, when we met back when you were at ChargePoint, Chris, you were a subject matter expert in, the dealership space, and you knew it inside and out. And I think you had a past experience working at Tesla, understanding energy and demand charges and all the specialties that you bring to, your customers, and you're a subject matter expert. Besides that, you're just a great person. And I love working with great people, and, you can see that right away with you, in your quality. And, that's where I encourage you to go and do your own business. I could see your passion in the industry, and I could see your expertise. And, I find that in people. I love to coach. I coach my kids' sports. I coach football and basketball and baseball. And I love seeing people's careers just advance. It's a big reason why I do this. I like to see the growth of individuals in their career and, kids in sports and things like that. So, that's a big part of my, my involvement and, helping people and doing anything I can to, see them be more successful and grow in their career and just in general.
And can you like identify like what are characteristics that like people should look for in themselves that that you think have made you successful?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to just a good personality, good people, and then, their passion, their drive, their motivation, right? You have to take the risk when you get started. So, a lot of people get very comfortable with like living off of a paycheck and having, just their normal life. And then here you have to take a little bit of a risk when you get started with your own journey and starting your own thing. And, I think that's the biggest part that people like kind of don't jump into that, right? I think it's a little bit too risky for them. So that's where it comes down to for people to get started, and that's one of the biggest challenges and hurdles to get through.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That was the toughest part was I think like especially when you come from corporate America, when you're feeling safe. Safe is a good feeling. Let's talk about the fun stuff in the industry right now, or the scary stuff, but definitely the stuff that's moving fast. And I know when we've hung out, we've had a good time talking about all this stuff. Probably too good of a time, but let's start talking about three things: artificial intelligence, autonomy, electrification over the next several years. How do you think about these three topics? How do they coalesce? How do they affect your business?
Yeah, I think I'm not the best with like tech savvy things, but a lot of my team is, and they're really good, and they're really excited about AI. I think you can use it for like sales. I think you can use it for marketing and many different things that can help grow a business. So really excited about AI. I don't really personally have a lot of knowledge in the space, but my team's really excited about it to help us grow and help the maturity of the business and in that perspective. I think that like I don't know a lot of the stuff that I do with INF is really focused on the market, and I think that technology is advancing right now. The biggest technology that I'm focused on is the batteries. Battery technology in vehicles, I think, is going to change dramatically. I think you'll see the range in vehicles get a lot better. I think battery storage for microgrids is going to play a big part in the electrification space because the utilities can't keep up with the demand. And, I have a heavy focus on innovative technology. I've always been on the forefront of like finding the next best thing and bringing it to market. So those are the things that really excite me and that I focus on at INF is, the future of batteries, I think, is going to be a big play. All the bidirectional charging, vehicle to grid, vehicle to building, and microgrids as well. So just being able to support that is what my focus is. I think another thing is just, with all the politics tied around EV charging, I really want it to just make sense. I like to keep politics aside and really just focus on, when I bought my Tesla 8 years ago and I got in it, I said, this is good technology and I believe in it. And I can't wait to see, it move to this direction because it made sense to me. And that's the whole thing. I think for this to really move forward and move forward rapidly, is coming down to just people purchasing electric vehicles because it's a better product than their typical ICE vehicle now.
Can you talk a little bit about INF Associates, why you started the company, what it was before, what it is now, where you think you're going, and I'd love to like tie it into this decentralized grid discussion because I think you're passionate about that, and given New York has programs that exist, I imagine that it'll be an interesting piece to hear more about.
Yeah, no problem. So I started INF 15 years ago. really started in the building retrofit, building decarbonization space. We're doing a lot of LED lighting retrofits. We're doing a lot of ASHRAE level audits and going into buildings and finding ways to retrofit to be more energy efficient and save on your utility bill, and had a return on investment tied to it. And then I moved into EV charging about 8 years ago. We're brand agnostic there, so we work with all the leading manufacturers. We support our customers doing all the electrical design, the load letters, the full turnkey construction, project management, construction management. Um, we also have a really good understanding of energy, so we onboard the charging stations. We do all the sequence of operation. We talk about load management and bringing down the kW during times when your demand charges. And then we also do a lot of fleet transition studies. So right now we're really active and focused on school buses with the mandates in New York State. So we do a lot of getting the inventory of the vehicles, the route analysis, and we have a great leader of that department, Jenna Lopez, that's really doing an amazing job of growing that business on the consulting side. What we're doing is kind of giving the customers a fleet transition plan so they can understand how they can achieve, moving over to electrification of their school buses and what the costs are going to be, and all the pieces of that. And then we also have a maintenance team as well. So the maintenance team, go out there, do preventive, predictive maintenance, and just do repair work as well. So that's where we're at now. We plan in the next couple of years to really focus on, we love recurring revenue. We have a charging success program and really focusing on strengthening the company with, that recurring revenue business. And then, what we'd like to do is move forward, either a capital raise or do something with, private equity. And I love working with my competitors, Chris. I look at it, there's a lot of work out there, and what I'd like to do over time is become a platform investment and maybe work alongside my competitors, and we all become one. That'd be like one of my goals in life, is where, maybe my 5 or 6 top, friends in the industry, we all become one company and really just grow the business that way and use our resources and strategy to kind of grow and expand across the country.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's in line with your personality for sure. Where do you see, I guess, municipal fleet study requests, mostly in the United States? Is it a very regional thing? Do you see it across the country? How do you plan on growing that business within INF?
Yeah, I think, we do building studies, and we do like a lot of stuff with the utility programs and NYSERDA right now, where we're an on-site energy manager. So we sit on the owner side of the table and help them figure out how they can get to net zero, or help them with an energy master plan. So, we have a great team of engineers led by Alex McShevsky from my team. He's my VP of building decarbonization. And then, we kind of go through and give them a path of how to completely decarbonize and help them through that journey. On the fleet side of things, I think there's going to be more and more of it. That you have a lot of different, everything from your local electrician to your municipalities to the school buses. Medium to heavy duty fleet will get there eventually. I think it's just going to be a big technology shift. I think a lot of it has to do with the vehicles. It's starting with the vehicles, deciding on the route analysis, make sure that the technology is available today. And then what we can do is, help guide those customers and focus on, making sure it makes sense when the technology is available. I think there's megawatt chargers out there right now, but if the inrush of the battery of the vehicle can't handle that kind of load, then we can't succeed. So I think that the battery technology is a big part of moving that market forward.
There's been recently a few announcements tied to solid state batteries and some of the automotive manufacturers trying to test it out. And then we've actually been speaking with some of the supply chain manufacturing companies that are working with the technology providers to go produce this stuff. And I'm really curious to see like how long it takes. Like, I don't think it's going to happen overnight, but curious to see in general what happens to the value of any asset that didn't have solid state before, because I'm guessing costs are going to go down, capacity is going to go up.
Yeah.
The volatility of the U.S. utility grid is going to continue to increase, which will make demand charges more challenging, but demand response programs more lucrative. And I think, like, organically, the business case of batteries is going to shift over the next 5 years. And I think that's probably what you and I are going to be working on together.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I couldn't agree more. I think with all the electrification happening now with heat pumps on mechanical systems and, for your heating and cooling, and then all the EV charging that's happening, we're going to need a lot more power. So it's going to be a race to power. We're really focused on different technologies. I love this mainspring product right now, where, if you have a low letter and the utility can't bring power for 2 to 3 years, you can use a linear generator to, bring the power quicker. You can tie that with battery storage, and, as long as you understand the predictable utilization and demand, it becomes a great solution and technology. And I think the battery market is just going to explode. And once we can get batteries installed into these large commercial buildings, that's what Manhattan skyscrapers need right now. The fear of the lithium batteries, catching fire, and the FDNY rules and regulations would slow that down. But I think that with solid state batteries, that's going to really move the needle, and we're going to need it. We need it right now.
Is that a push in New York City, solid state batteries, because of the safety component?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, anything that has better safety, or, there's no risk of, major fires, is going to be technology that's going to be, more acceptable in that marketplace.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's fair. Cool. Yeah. Well, Charlie, thank you for taking the time. Appreciate it. And we will connect soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me on, and so happy for what you built at the company, and congratulations on everything you guys are doing.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.